Everyone has long been curious to see the instrument with which Putin always manages to outplay everyone. Most likely, it's leaky wooden spoons or a torn accordion. Because the grand strategist's outplaying keeps surprising us more and more.
This is a unique experience and a unique tool for improving our armed forces.
The last Kremlin stronghold in the Middle East has fallen. Assad's regime collapsed like Medvedev's eyelids after a heavy drinking binge. The dictator's army, which supposedly had the support of 93% of the population, scattered across the desert, and the people, overwhelmed with grief, started dancing and setting off fireworks. There were at least 2 orc military bases in Syria, the airfield in Khmeimim and the naval base in Tartus, and also outposts scattered across the country, mainly in places that reek of oil and looting. For 10 years everything was fine. The Russian invaders ate dates, smoked hookahs, and periodically bombed the Syrian people. What beauty! Magnificent. But then, suddenly, the Assad regime vanished, and the rebel forces found themselves at the gates of those very military bases. To say that panic broke out would be an understatement. Right now, the Russians are frantically burning sensitive documents and valuable military equipment, and, in addition, hurriedly loading absolutely everything they can possibly carry onto ships that, as of yet, haven't managed to flee, all in the very best traditions of the Russian Navy. The rebels are already in Tartus and just 5 kilometers from the Russian airbase. And that's as of the time this program is being recorded. Some of the Russian strongpoints are completely surrounded. There's no talk of any fighting there anymore. Now the question is, what mood will the rebels and their Turkish friends be in? Will they want to let the orcs go home, and on what terms? Will they allow them to take their planes with them, or just their hand luggage? This is for you again. This is back to you. There is information that Russia has already held negotiations with Turkey and begged for mercy for its so-called second army in the world. Or more precisely, for the scraps that are left of it. How can we not recall Putin's speech at the Khmeimim base, where he boasted about how he had defeated everyone in Syria and would keep on winning, and that Russia was there forever? 2 bases have been established here and will operate on a permanent basis. In Tartus and here in Khmeimim. And if the terrorists dare to raise their heads again, we will strike them with blows they have never seen before. That was before everything happened. The replayer decided to take Kyiv in 3 days. Now, when the fate of his army, air force and navy is being decided by Erdoğan and a handful of rebels, all that Putin is capable of is modestly fulfilling the dream of the Uzbek. And he gave him a plombier ice cream from the Nogi project.
Having known Russia for years, I fulfilled my childhood dream to try the most legendary ice cream from Gam, right in Moscow, with a red cloak and a recording.
I know that this will draw a lot of significant attention to our historical memory, our shared historical memory. I will definitely talk to my colleagues about what was said.
At first, the propaganda was still blowing bubbles of hope that everything would soon get better. After all, we hadn't even started anything in Syria yet. When it became clear that everything in Syria was already over, people started putting forward crazy theories that Moscow would be allowed to keep its naval base in Tartus.
This is a brilliant operation, so to speak, an unconditional defeat, both the Syrian one and, in this sense, ours as well. But this may not be the end of the game.
Today I saw that Peskov stated that this will be decided in the future. The fate of the Russian bases, in other words, he left this question hanging in the air.
But you can't deny reality for long. With a certain sadness, they admitted, we are leaving Syria. And there is a huge lie in this. Russia is not leaving Syria. It's being thrown out of there like a mangy skunk. And obviously not for free.
What is this? They've lost their minds.
Only Allah knows what Erdogan demanded from the cigarette butt in exchange for his planes. And that's not even counting the fact that the rebels have already captured hundreds of pieces of Russian equipment and ammunition, including air defense systems.
Those militants everyone used to constantly laugh at, this really reminds me a lot of the situation with our own jingoistic. The Ukrainians are defeated, the Ukrainians can't do anything, and then we have Kharkiv, then we have Kherson, then we have the Kursk region.
For Putin, Syria was not just a PR project, not just his ticket into the club of the big boys and girls. Syria was Russia's gateway to Africa. Now Russian PMC gangs support various African dictatorial regimes. They seize resources and destabilize the situation in the region. The support and supply for these gangs were carried out to Syria, the port of Tartus, and the Khmeimim airbase. And those who don't give us ammunition will burn in hell. We'll eat their guts, damn it. Now, how will the Kremlin deliver sauerkraut and new lube albums to its mercenaries? That's a big mystery. Maybe they'll use Belarusian airlines. Or more likely, they'll do what Russians always do. They'll abandon their own.
But our military fulfilled the task set before them and secured victory. It's just that the fruits of this victory were supposed to be enjoyed by the Syrian people and the Syrian leadership.
Losing Syria is also a devastating economic blow to Moscow. We won't even try to count how many billions of dollars have been buried in the sand over the past 10 years. I wonder how many more billions Russia will lose. The fact is, the Assad regime blocked the launch of a gas pipeline in Syria from Qatar to Turkey and further on to Europe. According to the International Energy Agency, Qatar's South Pars field is notably and significantly the largest in the world and is estimated to contain approximately 51 trillion cubic meters of natural gas, as well as about 50 billion barrels of valuable gas condensates. That's equivalent to roughly 14% of the world's total proven gas reserves overall.
The old world order is irreversibly disappearing. You could say it's already gone, and a serious, uncompromising struggle is unfolding over the formation of a new one.
If this pipeline is launched, Turkey will become the largest gas hub. And Europe will be 100% supplied with natural gas. The issue of filling gas storage facilities will be resolved once and for all, as is the meaning of Gazprom's existence.
So, that's official.
Russian gas won't even be needed by Hungary or Slovakia, which means Moscow's influence over them will evaporate, just like Putin's international authority.
We, the residents of the village of Tuhkovo, demand that we be provided with electricity. We haven't had electricity since Thursday. Today is Wednesday. We have no water, no communication, no electricity. No one from the administration has come to see us.
The political, economic and military consequences for Russia are catastrophic. The USSR went through something similar after fleeing Afghanistan. More precisely, Savok did not survive this.
Union.
My drama.
In December 1991, when President Gorbachev was trying to save the Union, the leaders of Russia, Ukraine and Belarus met to sign a document dissolving the USSR.
Back then, the Union had also supported a stillborn anti-people regime for 10 years. And as soon as Moscow no longer had the strength to continue the war, the Afghan regime collapsed just as quickly as Assad's did. And right after that, the entire Soviet Union fell apart as well. The Union was wiped out, even though, after leaving Afghanistan, the war was over for it. But for Russia, the largest war in 80 years is still ongoing. A war in which they have already lost 700,000 people. A war that has completely destroyed their economy. A war that has clearly demonstrated to the whole world who Mr. Putin really is. a cowardly, deranged, senile man.
Plenipotentiary.
Everything's great.
It's telling that after Syria, Trump abruptly changed his rhetoric toward Russia and personally toward the pale scoundrel. Before the elections, Donald used to say that Putin was a superman and that Russia was unbeatable. But then, after meeting with the president of Ukraine, Trump stated that Russia has already lost in Ukraine and that its actions are insane.
Borodoy talked about unnecessary people. They were unnecessary even while still in the rear. How much more unnecessary will they become when they return from the war? Well, probably, yes, something like that will happen because they really will become even more unnecessary and even more embittered. If they survive, no one returns from that war.
Syria is not just a geostrategic defeat for Moscow. It's another nail in the coffin of this pseudo-empire. Syria is a signal to the civilized world that the beast is weaker than ever. And it's also a factor of internal destabilization in Russia, because everyone is already in shock from the meat grinder of the special military operation. And now there's also the slap in the face from Syria. The Z supporters are increasingly howling that the Kremlin is fighting the wrong war. There's no trace of greatness here, only the stench of shame and the corpses of Russian occupiers.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.